I'm David Reed, and this is The Engine Room. Hello and welcome to another Engine Room. We have an okay guest today.
Good.
Clay Williams, welcome to the show.
I'm hoping you're referring to somebody else who's going to join us.
Yeah.
So, good to be here, David.
No, it's really good. I think a lot of people would like to know you a bit better.
Yeah.
Certainly in NOV, we're going to put this outside, so, be careful.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, no, but I think that's something, these shows, we're always bringing people just to learn a bit about them.
Yeah.
And
by the way, I always enjoy them.
you do.
I really do.
And you write notes to people, which I appreciate.
Well, because we have such great employees, and the way that you get them to be introduced to the rest of our organization, including me, frequently, I really appreciate it. So thank you for doing that.
So everyone needs to know that you did not want to do this.
No.
This is not.
I want to tell your viewers, I'm here under duress.
You literally, I don't.
I'm hoping it ends soon. I'm the most boring guy you're ever going to interview.
So. I don't think so.
So,
but I love that when I said you're doing it, you said
I said no.
No, that's not what you said.
And then you said
no. What you said was, "I'm your boss."
Well, yeah, and then I said no.
Like, you don't get to tell me what to do.
You're pretty persistent, by the way.
I am pretty persistent.
You're a pretty good sales guy.
I think it's important. I think it's good for us to do.
Yeah.
So let's start. Your life. Born in Scotland or Russia? Where were you born?
Katy, Texas.
Oh, Katy, Texas.
Katy, Texas.
Now, you and I know Katy, Texas, but
Yes.
this is international. So what is Katy?
So Katy is just west of Houston and a suburb of Houston. Well, when I was born, it was actually a very small town.
Yeah, that's something most people who come. So, like, for example, Norwegians move to Katy for some reason. It's their
That's
place.
true. That's true. It's very international
Certain
town.
people move certain places.
Yeah.
So if a lot of Norwegians, so you say, is that little Norway? No, it was actually a small rural town, I guess.
It was a rice farming community.
Rice farming. It's so funny to me that it's rice,
There used to be a lot of rice.
Yeah.
And probably less than 2,000 people when I was born.
Wow.
So my grandfather was in the oil patch in another town near Houston called Tomball, which is where my father grew up in what's called an umble camp.
Umble. So just for oil. I need to explain something to everyone for a minute, so hold back.
Okay.
Umble is the word humble for people here. Am I wrong?
You're pronouncing it wrong.
There is an H there, but they don't say it.
H.
So we're in Houston right now. No, it's just the word humble. And if you feel humble, which I will say, Clay, you're very humble, and that's why you don't like being on these shows and things like this. But I have to say you're very humble.
Okay.
But anyway, yes, tell me about your grandfather.
So umble oil, or for people in Scotland, humble oil, was a predecessor to Exxon. My grandfather actually went to work for him in about 1920.
Wow.
And my father grew up in a humble oil camp. And a lot of little towns around East Texas in particular have what's called a humble camp or a Texaco camp.
You're going to keep doing it.
I'm working on it.
You're going to do it for me. That's funny.
But my father didn't work in the oil field. He actually rough-necked his way through dental school. He was a dentist.
Okay, those two things don't go together. Like
no.
Dental school. I mean, this is a big cultural moment for people who don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of the Texas history and
that
whole idea. So you've said a few things. Let's unpack a little bit.
Okay.
So there are oil field towns.
Yes.
That are built around. So it was oil first.
Sure.
And
so
then you built around it.
So you go back to what were typically farming communities, maybe lumber communities in East Texas,
crops,
South Texas, and the industry would discover oil in these little towns back in the teens, 20s, 30s, back in the 20th century. And they would literally have to move in a big workforce, and they would build a separate little camp for them or a town. And so a lot of Katy had one in what's Old West Katy.
Okay.
Had a
and so it was outside of a town normally, or in
a little bit outside of the town.
Was the town?
Yep, a little bit outside of the town. Katy had a big gas field discovery, and so they built an encampment, like a little neighborhood for the workers. And so my father grew up in one of those. And
Tomball also would be considered now inside of the
Houston's kind of swallowed it up too. It used to be a very small town. I think he had six kids in his high school graduating class.
Really? There are people who still remember the small classes in Tomball. They still have because I lived near there, and they would talk about taking the horse into town, and not that long ago. So they kind of held out as a small town.
Yeah. So both those communities have in some ways been sort of swallowed up by Houston, which grew a lot.
Yeah.
But back to my story, my father became a dentist. He was the first and only dentist in Katy, Texas for a long time.
So historically, in old Katy, everyone knew your dad.
Yeah, yeah. They'd all come see him. At least those with good dental hygiene.
The Scottish
would come see him
didn't.
Twice. Yeah, there were maybe
We're
a few
not big
Englishmen.
on the whole teeth thing. It's more of a torture method in our country. But
yeah, no, but it was a small town, a lot of farmers, and then really starting in the 1970s, it started growing like crazy.
Yeah,
and is now a big suburb.
Yeah, it would have
Houston.
been.
We have a lot of employees that live there now.
That's right,
point out.
Yeah, it would have been a drive out of town.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had Edwin here before, and he was an inside the loop kind of real Houston.
Yeah.
And everything outside of 610 was considered far.
Oh yeah.
So
I remember there were cows grazing inside Loop 610.
Yeah, and that wild.
Somebody, I remember telling that to somebody, and they said, "You know what breed those cows are?" So I'm like, I didn't notice. He said, "Those are tax cows." Because whoever had them grazing out there was getting a tax break on that.
I have learned this. I've learned that a couple of chickens can get you a good tax break.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. So your dad's a dentist. Mother's probably stay-home mom. I don't know. Was she?
No, she actually worked. She was did real estate in the Katy area.
So so your family are core to the neighborhood.
They're very active.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of my parents.
Cool.
They both passed away several years ago.
Sorry about that. Yeah. That's hard. Parents going is hard.
Very hard.
We've both gone through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's tough. But that history, that's really something in a town that's kind of moved out and filled out, and it's just a massive place now, Katy.
It really is, yeah.
So most of them don't have that connection to the history, but you do, yeah. You're not still there, are you?
No.
Okay.
Sort of. My wife and I.
That was a sort of face.
Well, sort of in that my wife and I moved out that direction when our kids were small, and we raised our children out there in a little more rural setting south of Katy, between Katy and Richmond.
Okay.
But
more farm, like land?
It was. It's also since been developed. There's a lot of people and
surrounded by houses now. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I did that in spring. I bought wanting to be in the countryside, and very quickly
in Houston.
Turned up.
I'll tell you, Houston just continues to grow.
It was amazing, and I literally was looking for. I'd like the kids, and my kids went to a country school, and everyone in the school, their last names were the streets because they were the farms.
Yeah.
We were the only ones that didn't have a last name that wasn't German and wasn't a farming name, which was different for me. It was interesting.
Yeah.
But I assume that was your world. Very small. Everyone knows everyone.
Everybody knew everybody. Absolutely.
Yeah. And what were you like as a kid? What did you like to do?
All kinds of stuff. From a little bit of sports to hobbies and
are you a maker of things, or are you a?
Yeah, I think I've sort of evolved into that. I like working with my hands, doing. I've got a wood shop here in Houston that I dabble in every now and then, and
wood shop making.
Whatever my wife needs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So anything.
Yeah. Can you fix this chair?
Okay.
I recently got a router and started making some signs. Like you go to State Park here, and they have the sort of the signs that they make, and so I've kind of done a few of those.
So I might have some work for you if you're
okay. Just let me know.
Now that I know.
As long as it's not another podcast.
Yeah, no, we just need a podcast signage that says, or something that says Williams Wood Shop. That would be good, Is that what it's called? Williams Wood Shop?
I'm not sure it has a name or not, but
I'm telling you,
I really enjoy it.
We're going to work a logo for you.
Yeah.
That's great. So you were doing that you were more as an adult, less as a kid.
Yeah.
So what, Katy, growing up, you're playing sports. What sports?
A little bit of baseball, football. I was never very good.
Yeah, that's okay.
But something to do.
We won't judge you.
Yeah,
yeah. We all have to play sports as a kid, so it wasn't your profession. Probably good. You know,
Right, exactly. That was never a possibility, by the way.
Yeah. It's a small town. You get to play more.
Yeah, but always had a job starting from about 15 onward.
What was your first job?
Frying chicken.
Frying chicken. I love it.
I can still actually fry chicken pretty well.
Do you really? Is that a specialty?
It is. You got to get the grease hot.
Really?
That's the key thing. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. So frying chicken. I worked in the hardware store. A couple of electricians. Worked for a construction company.
Really? That's good stuff.
Worked at the cement terminal there, right where Interstate 10, sort of dog legs.
Is that still there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I think I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
wow, that's cool.
A bunch of different things.
Yeah. And then in your high school years, junior years, what were you leaning any way from what you liked at school?
I knew pretty early on I was going to be an engineer. I was kind of a math guy.
Yeah.
And went away to college and actually started in chemical engineering. And it took me two
cement plant,
semesters.
or what makes you think chemical?
I'm not really sure.
Not sure.
I kind of like chemistry. And,
chemistry class got you going. Yeah,
it did. Right, but it took 2 semesters in. I realized, I'm not smart enough to be a chemical engineer. This isn't really working out.
Where did you go? Where did you go for?
Oh, it's at Princeton.
Princeton. That's a small place somewhere.
Yeah, it's up on the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Long way from Katy, Texas.
What is it? What is it near?
It's between New York and Philadelphia.
Okay.
In New Jersey.
Yeah. I'm always assuming people don't know stuff we know, so I'm trying to always trying to get the information out so people go, oh, okay, and they can place it. And it's a pretty good school, Princeton.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
It's up there on the list.
So. Yeah. And I really enjoyed it. Actually, I've still got to this day really, really good close friends from Princeton.
The college. This is I call it college university connection in the States is very different than other countries, and you carry it with you. It's kind of an interesting into sports, into life, and
it's a big deal. We all kind of have a natural affinity and affiliation with wherever we went to college.
Very, very different. We don't talk about it. Britain, or at least I don't. If you went to Cambridge or Oxford, they'll talk about it. Outside of that, no one cares,
Yeah.
But other than stories, but yeah, that is an interest. So you stay connected to that community.
I do. Yeah. Yep. Got some, like I said, some really good friends that are college classmates, and in fact, going on a trip tomorrow with a couple.
Nice.
Which I'm looking forward to.
What kind of trip?
We're going up to Colorado.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And we may or may not ski.
Yeah.
We will definitely drink a little wine.
Yeah.
So, but it'll be
by a fire, hope as well.
Oh yeah.
It's a nice place to go. Yeah.
It is.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great that you're still connected and spending time with people like that. That's
right.
Good. So you're doing chemical
engineering, not very well, and I took a geology class. What
made you change your mind there? What was in the middle of it? You're in the middle of chemistry, and you're like, it's just not.
I was kind of figuring it wasn't my cup of tea. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
But by the way, Jose is a chemical engineer successfully, so which means he's a lot smarter than I am. Honestly,
you don't chat chemistry.
We never. That's never come up.
Let me talk about rocks.
Exactly.
So geology.
So geology, which was that introductory course, Geology 101, which is rocks for jocks. Changed my life. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And thought this is sort of my calling. And Princeton had a department and a degree in geological engineering. Which then already sort of launched into an engineering track, and so I just pivoted over that way and moved to the geology department. And
was that a growing trend, geology? Because my mother was big in geology, like that was her.
Yeah, usually
private jam.
Usually you're either a geologist or an engineer.
Yeah.
Even in our industry.
Yeah.
It's true. One or the other.
Because you're not an engineer if you're a geologist.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've got a bunch of both.
You've got all that natural stuff to think about, but
yeah. And there's a couple of college programs around the U.S. that offer that. South Dakota School of Mines, University of Missouri at Rolla, Colorado School of Mines, and Shell Oil Companies. It's a degree Shell really liked.
They're targeting you, I assume.
Well, and that's where I went to work out of college, and so but I'm not sure Shell is aware. What it really means is I'm not really a very good geologist and I'm not really a very good engineer, but I can sort of fake either.
Yeah. Good faker. That's good.
Yeah. I'm a poser.
A poser. Wow. You're just so cruel. No, but that's good. So Shell picks you up.
Yeah. Joined Shell.
First job. So where did you go? I bet it could be
started in what Shell called SWEPI, Alaska.
Wow.
Shell Western E&P, and working in Alaska, which is a
Had
blast.
you been to Alaska before?
I had not.
Yeah, what an experience.
But the week after I started, I think I was
Like, off you
up
go.
there and learned a lot. Went straight out to a drilling rig in the Cook Inlet. Platform rig that Shell was doing a redevelopment on. Spent 4 years working in Alaska, and then I got moved to New Orleans.
It was a test, I guess. Like, do you love this? You know, you go into the field as one of those.
Yeah.
Either you, this is
and
awesome.
the answer is yes, I love it.
Yeah, it's really.
Yeah.
Once you get the fields like this,
Yeah.
you just love it. It's such an
You really
amazing
do, and you learn so
experience.
much I ended up spending a lot of time on drilling rigs.
And people are teachers, which is, I
are.
think, when you go, everybody wants to tell you this is how this works.
Exactly.
I mean, not everyone. Some people just haze you, but
No, but I think most in this industry
most of them
they're pretty
good.
open, and
I
they
really like that. When I was surprised,
Yeah.
that people want to teach you.
yeah
You
they
know,
do.
I like that.
And I did as well. And they assigned me the first week or two that I spent out there on this platform rig. I was a sample catcher for the mud loggers.
Nice.
And Xlog was a company that was doing the mud logging out there. And so just being around the operation, seeing what's going on, which was invaluable.
Yeah.
And from there, again, the time I spent at Shell, a lot of that was sitting on drilling rigs.
Yeah. Looking at rocks that came
Looking
out
at
of the earth.
rocks, running wireline logs, cutting cores,
Yeah.
all
Wow.
that sort of thing.
That's fantastic. Well, that's wild. So you said 4 years.
4 years in Alaska, and then another 3 with Shell in the Gulf of America. Now, I guess.
You heard it here first.
Working on Cognac
funny.
platform and East Bay and a couple other
Wow.
fields.
Great
So,
experience. Yeah.
Yeah, really good. Really
Yeah.
good. Shell's a marvelous company. Technically, learned a lot. And
I remember in school, like in Aberdeen, they targeted kids from like high school on. They were trying to find you and engage you, and they were really looking for talent.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes they get you, and they're like, "Oh no, a faker." No. No, that's good. They are. We saw that. You could see that. I have friends who are now retired because they did that Shell track, and it was a lifetime career thing. So, but you didn't stay. So tell us about that.
No. So this was in the 80s.
Yeah.
Difficult time,
Yeah.
big downturn in the industry. And at some point I said, I'm not sure if this is what I want to do for the rest of my career or not. Yeah. And so I actually decided to go back to business school and get an MBA. And my plan going in was...
you're in Shell and you went like full-time.
Full-time. I didn't, rather than do the thing at night, I said, I'm going to kind of immerse myself
Just gonna
in this.
do it.
And it'll be
what drove that?
I knew that it would sort of force me to make, like if I'm going to make a career change, that's the time.
Yeah.
And my plan going in was to find something easy.
Yeah.
Computers, plastics.
Something, this is way too tough a business.
Yeah, oil business is just too hard.
Going through a trough, you're like, why?
Right. Man, this is hard.
Yeah, let's go find the easy businesses that
Exactly.
everyone talks about.
Exactly.
It sounds all great everywhere else.
Yep. And what I learned is, well, guess what? They're all hard. I got into business school and learned that all business is difficult and challenging, goes through cycles.
Yep.
And you might as well stick with what you know.
Yeah.
So coming out of business school, I said, you know what? Probably, I love this industry, love the people, and always have.
People is the incredible part. And I would say coming out of Katie, you've got that kind of farm, like straight talking, good people. And when you get to the industry, you're like, oh,
this industry's filled with
this
people
is my
like
people.
that.
They're straight talking. There's no messing around.
Straight ahead.
Very serious, very smart people.
Yeah. Who work hard.
Yeah.
Understand the mission. Get it done.
Yeah.
And
problem solvers.
Problem solvers. Yeah. A lot of practicality. And,
yeah.
And
so that's interesting. So you've studied. You're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
It's all up and down.
Yeah. So let me go back to something that I already know.
Yeah.
I've already kind of understand how the business works.
Right. You got great stuff under your belt already.
Exactly.
Just being in the field. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
Too,
so what was
regrets.
the job that you came out from?
So I went to work for an investment firm, a private equity firm, that would make investments in oil field service companies. It's a firm called SCF Partners.
Right. Right.
And
very well
that
known
you
in
know.
in the oil and gas world. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And small firm. And
good people again.
very good people.
Very smart.
Very smart.
Oh, great experience.
Yeah. It was founded by a fellow named Ellie Simmons, who is
good man.
one of
good
my
quiet man.
good quiet man, who's one of my mentors and friends. In fact, I had breakfast yesterday with Ellie, as a matter of fact, catching up. So we get together.
I bumped
frequently.
into him a few times, and he talks about you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know him well, but I think in the Tuboscope Varco era, he asked me some questions. He wanted to know something that I knew.
Yeah.
And then one time on a stage at Harvard, like we were both speaking, and I just loved it. I loved it. I got invited when Thomas Major was up there. He's like, come up and speak.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that.
Fantastic.
So I got some good time. He's a very smart man, but
very smart,
quiet, very smart.
Yeah,
I love that mix.
Quiet and humble.
Very, very humble. He's very humble. You do the H's, I'll just do the no H.
Okay, we're like switched.
Yeah,
so.
But
anyway, Ellie was maintaining investment. Well, let me back up. So I joined his firm, worked making investments for a private equity firm. After 2 years of that, I realized, this really isn't my cup of tea either.
Yeah.
And so I joined one of the companies that they had invested in.
Oh, okay.
And it was a company called Drexel.
Did they pull you in, or did you choose to go there? Were you watching?
It was mutual agreement.
I
said, I much prefer I would get seconded to some of their companies in their portfolio. Yeah. And one in particular I spent several months at, and I realized I kind of enjoy working in an operating company more than I enjoy working in a private equity firm.
A bit more hands-on.
Very much more hands-on.
Yeah.
And so anyway, an opportunity came up to join one of their portfolio companies full-time. And so that's Drexel Oilfield Services.
Nobody knows that anymore.
Which,
right?
Yes, but...
I mean, it's gone, right?
Yes,
but... products.
The products are still here.
Yeah.
So Brandt Solids Control.
Right. Because I remember the logo. Like I remember seeing it around.
Yeah, it was a great company based out of Singapore.
Yeah.
But Brandt Solids Control equipment and Hydro-Rig coil tubing units were the two businesses that we had.
All right.
That now, as you know, Hydro-Rig is part of intervention and stimulation equipment business unit, and Brandt's part of Wellsite Services.
Yeah.
But the progression was joining Drexel Oilfield Services. We merged with Tuboscope, which at the time was a standalone public company.
Yeah.
And did a reverse merger. SCF Partners made a bigger equity investments in the combined enterprise.
Yeah.
Ellie became our chairman.
Oh, really?
And was on our board for several years.
Pleasurable, I would think, just working with him.
Yeah. And then, as you know,
I know.
2000, I think.
99, 2000. I actually looked it up.
I think we cut the deal in 99 to merge with Varco.
And 2000 was...
And then in 2000 it closed.
Yeah.
And so you of course were at Varco.
That's right. I was technically in Schaefer at the time, and I think I just moved just before, because I was switching into rig package for everything. And Tuboscope. So most people don't understand this. Tuboscope bought Varco, but took the name Varco. So that's a lot of confusion, and they were like,
what's going on
Varco
here?
Sure did.
Yeah.
Sure did. It was odd for us. It was such a different type of business.
Yeah.
But we met then.
Yeah.
I mean, across the road over here.
We did. I was going to say, I don't know if I didn't know if you remember, but it was in an office building not very far from here.
That's right. I came and annoyed you one day, and I think you were doing acquisitions.
I was in corporate development at the time.
Yeah. And I was just... thought we should buy some other equipment companies. I think I was trying to get us to buy an engineering house.
You've always been so bashful, David.
I know. I was not. I think I remember drawing. It's all in my mind, but drawing like this diagram.
Yeah, you did. You showed up with an agenda and a list, and here's what we need to focus on.
You let me be involved in making some mistakes. I would say, like, and learning. I remember
because I didn't understand what you were saying with your accent.
No, you still don't know what I'm saying.
That
it's
guy?
Not the accent. It's my brain patterns that are disconnected. But that was it was a nice moment because you were interested for me, and I thought that was good because this packaging idea just seemed to make sense. The engineering house idea was a terrible idea.
Well, I know we made a couple missteps. I made a couple missteps along the way, but we both did. But we figured it out.
You actually sent me to look at an engineering house, which became an education for me at the time, which was really great. I don't know if you're doing that on purpose. I think a lot of people were purposely pushing you in for, like, you go look at that business, because you come out going, this, I think I called you like after a half an hour looking at their books and was like, this is terrible. And yeah, just be nice and come.
Well, we were all getting educated.
That's right. It was an
which
experience.
is what I loved about that time. We were, doing a lot of acquisitions and learning about opportunities in oilfield services. And, honestly, too, the industry wasn't dissimilar from what we're going through now. There was a lot, very deep, hard down cycle.
Yeah.
And opportunities to deploy capital and make acquisitions, and so that was a really fun. It was a fun time for me.
It was fun, and I think when we had the good times, I remember thinking, because I wasn't used to good times, that it was like, this can't last long,
right?
It was like, we were so used to. Hard
let's
times.
enjoy it while it lasts. But it's always going to be a cyclical industry.
And I think that was the big lesson: is do your work for the up times and your down times, and when the up times, make sure you do the work to cover yourself.
Yeah.
So that was something. Yeah, it was good memory.
Yeah.
So then, your journey from there, you were doing what happened next in your career?
I did a little time in operations. I think I was out of operations by the time we merged with Varco. Or I was close.
Are you talking about pipeline services?
Pipeline services, yeah.
Well, as soon as you said it, I'm like, what? Oh, I came back to the pipeline. That was a short-lived journey.
It was. It's been a couple of years there. Great people, very challenging business. And we ended up divesting that business several years later. So we're no longer in it, but learned a lot and got to work with a lot of great people.
Yeah.
Corporate development, then moved to finance, and when we merged with National Oil Well, Varco merged with National Oil Well in 2005 is when that transaction closed. I was CFO.
You went to CFO,
yeah, the combined company.
Yeah, and so CFO, ultimately CEO.
Yep.
Was in your journey where you're like, I really want to run something, or were you just as it came along, you're like, oh. Yeah, I guess I'll do that. Or was it like,
it's an interesting question. I would tell you, I wasn't born feeling like someday I got to be CEO because that's not necessarily the goal.
Yeah, I want tens of thousands of people working for me. That'd be great.
Yeah, actually, it's not.
It's the other
everything
way
is cut
around.
out to be. I'll just say I'll leave it at that.
That's right. Yeah.
But what I would say is I'm more. I'm more driven by wanting to build something, and wanting to leave something that lasts, and so it's kind of been the construction of NOV through the years, more than what's my title within that. It's the former. It's like what are we trying to accomplish here?
Yeah.
What are we focused on doing? And to me, that's been the driver. Whatever role I play in that, and it's varied from finance to corporate development to a little bit of operations to whatever. Happy to do it, but the reward is working with great people. Yeah, which we both get to do every day.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I would say so. We're almost near the end. So good news for you.
Thank goodness.
This I would describe it as a servant leader. Like your perspective on how you lead. It's not that you don't have a strong leadership position. It's that the way you do it is very much trust in people. How does that work for you? Is that something you've always felt or experienced and then grew into?
I guess. I mean, again, I genuinely love the people that you and I get to work with every day, who are smart and capable and appreciate the fact they bring a different perspective than I do, and I value that. And but I think my job, your job, our jobs are to make everyone else's jobs easier, right? So what can I do to help is really ought to be the first thing that all of us ask when it comes to leadership and management. What can we do to make this entire organization more successful and help out our the people that we work with that are part of our team? And so I think that's just the best approach.
And I would say the best leaders I've known in the industry have been that way. And that's what my experience was. People who you felt like they were alongside you. They weren't dominating you. They were seeing something in you and pushing you. Yeah. In a good way, But yeah, I've enjoyed that, and I think the company enjoys that because it trickles down into the culture.
I hope so. In fact, we had a board meeting last week. We were talking about the culture of NOV and of all the great attributes of NOV that range from a 163-year history in this industry to fantastic technology and intellectual property to a big installed base, to reputation for really helping out our customers. It's the culture that I'm probably most proud of. How we interact with each other, the values that we all share. And the more time I've spent in business, the more I've realized that's what's sustainable. That's the real heart of the enterprise. That's what's most valuable, and I think that's appropriately where the best leaders inside of NOV, and we've got a bunch of them, are focused.
That's true. And I think the way we hear it, the best way we hear it is when it ekes out from someone else, not from them. Someone telling you, "I'm great at doing this," or
right, yeah.
We don't. Our
Look, if it's
great
true,
ourselves.
if it's true, we'll all know it.
Yeah, you hear it from
good and
outside.
bad. Right.
Yeah. So that's
saying
feedback.
it doesn't make it true or not.
Right.
Feeling it, we all know it.
And we know it's not perfect, but it's human beings. But
Right.
but it's definitely for a very complex organization.
Yeah.
It's quite enjoyable, I think, for a lot of people. So
And on the whole,
that's
listen,
what
we all got a lot to be proud of. We've come through a generational sort of difficult downturn, and have emerged with a strong balance sheet, better products, more products, better, a lot of financial resources, improving performance, and so.
And you got to the front of the cart as we were going down. This roller coaster.
Well,
Sure,
hey.
I'll go in the front. So it's been a rough ride, and we're definitely, we're faring very well, considering what
Absolutely.
we've gone through. So
Yeah. I mean, literally, I don't think our industry could function without this organization.
Absolutely,
And that's not an overstatement.
And we want that to be the case for a long time. So,
We do.
yeah.
So very proud of this organization, very proud of what you and everybody else here have done.
I know you
And
do.
I know we've got a bright future. It's really interesting now how the offshore is coming back.
Yeah.
And, we'll face some challenges in 2025, but the industry is continuing to recover. And that's kind of the highest value add for our organization, our technology. So very excited about the future.
Well, I know you like to thank all the employees, but on behalf of all the employees, I know you don't want to hear this, but we're very grateful for you and for your leadership, and thanks for coming.
Well, thank you. I'm grateful for all of you, and thanks for the kind words.
Yeah.
Thanks for all that you do, and to all the employees that are watching out there, really, really do appreciate what you do for this organization.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Great. We'll see you next time.